I see the 4 o'clock. All right. Okay. Do you have to make any announcements ahead of time?
Well, Lewis, we have to wait to see if Lewis Taba is ready.
Yeah, I can go ahead. Do you want me to go ahead and read the slides, the ready to start
thank you.
slides?
Thanks.
Sure.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead?
All right. Just a moment here. Okay. So my name is Lewis Tabe. I'll be the host of this meeting. Connie Torbeck will be the presenter. This is the Historic Resources Commission. The meeting will begin at 4 o'clock. I apologize for that typo. Attendees are muted upon meeting entry. You'll be unmuted as appropriate. The chair will call on participants to speak. If you have questions, you may send a message via WebEx chat to the host, who is me. You'll be required to have your video feature on if you are speaking, and the meeting is being recorded. Comments sent via WebEx chat will not be read at the meeting. So the meeting's about to start, and to applicants and speakers, please turn off your video at this time. Use the control panel in WebEx to turn your video off. Staff will ask you to turn your video on prior to speaking. Speaker slips are required to be submitted no later than 2 hours prior to a virtual meeting. Connie, are there any speaker slips today?
No, there are no speaker slips.
Okay, we can ignore that. And then the order of the meeting will be that city staff will present application materials. Applicants will be sworn in and asked to present any additional materials, and registered speakers will be sworn in and provided 3 minutes to speak each. Commissioners will then discuss the case and ask questions if needed. And with that, I'll turn it over to Connie, or the chair.
The meeting of the Historic Commission, May 21st, 2021, is called to order at 4:01. The next commission monthly business meeting will be at 12 noon, Thursday, June 3rd, 2021, and it will be a virtual hearing. Also, the next commission hearing will be at 4 p.m. Thursday, June 17th. That will also be a virtual hearing via WebEx. For business is swearing in the staff. Do you swear to tell the truth this morning before the commission this evening?
Connie Torbeck, Assistant Preservation Officer. Yes, I do. And
Thank you.
Clyde, we're having a little bit of problem with your audio a little bit.
Oh, so, is that better?
I think so.
Okay. And you'll be the one speaking tonight for the city?
Yes, correct.
Okay. The next order is the introduction of the commissioners present. When I call your name, acknowledge that you're here. Stewart Gibboney.
Yes, I'm present.
Oh, we lost you.
Aaron Prosser.
I'm here.
Okay. And I don't see Joseph. We will catch him later. Next up, the approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at those? So do I hear a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve those as noted.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I guess
Aye.
Stewart, Aaron, myself, we all approve. Next item on the agenda is the approval of staff approvals. Note item 1, 3, 4 have also been moved to staff approvals. Did everybody?
Clyde, you're breaking up really badly. I don't know if we want you to try and reconnect to WebEx or something. I'm not sure, but you're breaking up pretty bad and lagging quite badly. I don't know, Connie, do you want to
Okay,
just keep going or?
Well,
Why
I'll be
don't I-
doing,
Why don't I,
Okay.
why don't I turn the chairmanship over to,
Sounds good.
the Stewart, we over the meeting, and then that way it won't be as important.
Okay.
Do
and
all the commissioners agree?
Yep.
and we do just need a move, a motion for the staff approvals. We didn't do that yet.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Clyde, raise your hand. Is that aye? I'm kidding.
Aye.
Okay, apparently that brings us down to item number 2, 1488 Brighton Road.
Yes, and we have, where the name Mark Wolf is, we have Ed DeLong from Precision Slate attending.
Great. Have they been, they have not been sworn in, I take it, since we just
Right,
started.
correct. Mhm.
Do we have them on audio and video?
Yes, he's right here.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
I
we
do
hear
hear
you
a
and
voice.
see you.
Great.
We're having problems with Stewart.
Well, I'd like to, I don't see him. I'm assuming he's there, but
Yeah,
if,
we see
if
him.
you
I can see him.
can you see him? Okay.
Yes.
You can raise your right hand and swear or affirm to tell the truth of the testimony you're providing this evening.
I do.
Great, thank you. All right, Connie.
Okay, so this is 1488 Brighton Road to remove the asphalt shingle roof on the garage and install a new metal roof. The Sanborn map indicates that the concrete block garage was built after 1951 and replaced a frame garage. A survey of the alleys behind Brighton Road, which means that I drove up and down Brighton Road alleys, reveals a majority of garage roofs with non-original asphalt shingles. Several had slate roofs and a few with tile roofs. The 1951 Sanborn map of 1488 Brighton Road block shows all garages had composition roofs. And then when I looked at random areas around there, showed a mix of composition, which if you looked on your Sanborn maps that I had sent you previously, the little solid circle means composition materials, and the open circle means that it's non-combustible, but which could be metal, slate, or tile, or asbestos, but it doesn't specify. So there may have been metal roofs in the area. We don't really know that for sure. So while the concrete block garage is a non-contributing structure, the Columbus Register guidelines state that even new garages should be designed to be compatible with similar historic structures in the surrounding area and match the main structure on the site or the garages and outbuildings around it. In addition, CC 3116.11 of the standards for alteration, number 3 states, each property shall be recognized as a product of its own time. Alterations that have no historical basis and which seek to create an earlier appearance shall be discouraged. And at the business meeting, the person who was there to represent the application noted that they were wanting to try to make it look historic, the building look historic. And also the relation to the architectural features or other contributing properties in the immediate neighborhood must be considered. Based on these standards and guidelines, the introduction of a metal roof is not appropriate. Recommend that a shingle from the approved shingles list be installed in consultation with the applicant, or that the metal roof be denied. That's
Can
all.
I, say now,
Yes.
a metal roof is extremely more appropriate than the asphalt roof, okay? So I vehemently oppose that decision. You know what I mean? In outbuildings in that era, 1700s, they didn't match the main house, right? But they had a roof appropriate. shingle roofs came out in 1908. The architecture of the main house came out way earlier than 1908, before shingles even were there. And you know, as one of the contractors, I've restored probably more properties in Columbus than any other contractor. I've been doing this since 1989, and a standing seam roof would be a wonderful upgrade. Okay, it'd be much more durable. It's a very low pitch, so only 10% of this building you see from the ground. Most of it's walls because of the pitch of the roof. It's like a 312 pitch. But standing seam is very appropriate for an outbuilding in that time frame.
Of the
There's-
1960s?
Well, no, not the 1960s, but the main house.
Okay, so
The main
the,
house
but the
is what
garage,
carried.
but the
to me,
garage
it-
was built in the 1960s.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? You wouldn't have my thing is you wouldn't have a garage that looks like that with the house. I say the house carries the weight of what that property should look like, not you're not dressing yourself in that garage. You're dressing yourself in the house. So I say the house is senior and you go to something appropriate that would be outside that house and say the mid 1700s or mid 1800s, which would be a standing seam roof. I mean, shingles didn't even come out till 1908. And shingles on a low pitch roof like that won't last as long. I mean, it'll be harder to maintain. There'll be leaves on it that need swept off all the time, which will wear it down. You could take a leaf blower up and blow the roof off, or leave it the way it is, leave the leaves on it forever, and it'll last, 80, 90 years, and it'll look the same. And I mean, this guy just replaced the whole roof on the house with slate. He didn't have to do that, you know what I mean? And he wants an appropriate roof for that property if it would be built all at the same time. He's trying to bring the garage up a few notches, not down. Putting an asphalt roof just buries the garage at a lower level. Asphalt's an artificial roof, absolutely artificial. It's the trash from the gas industry. Is what asphalt is. And of course, I'm pretty prejudiced being a Slater and tile guy my whole life, but I like standing seam a lot better on that garage than I do that asphalt shingle.
Mr. Wolf, I have a question for you. Would you and or your the applicant be interested in doing a slate line version of tile that it's asphalt that looks like slate to kind of keep it in more in keeping with the code?
We're very interested in that standing seam metal. Very interested in that.
I kind of get that.
Yeah, we think that's appropriate. I mean, that's more appropriate than that. That's also, I mean, now you're faking two things. You got an artificial roof that's fake to be a tile roof, This is a real standing seam roof, with a high wind, super high wind durability. Very appropriate for an outbuilding. And plus this garage is not it's not a very steep roof. You're not looking at a lot of roof when you look at this garage.
Replace it 3 times over the life of one standing seam.
Yeah, you'd have to replace this asphalt roof 3 times, in the time that this roof will last. And plus, when we tear this roof off and everything, there's a lot of woodwork from the asphalt roof on it failing. You know what I mean? It failed really badly. Of course, you can't get an asphalt roof put on right. It's pretty hard to do that. We do a lot of going after roofers that failed to put a roof on right.
And Connie, just as a point of clarification, our determination of appropriateness has to be determined by the guidelines that are given to this commission, correct?
Correct, and that's what I was trying to go by.
Yeah, I don't hear anything that just denies it from the guidelines. You know what I mean? When you read that off. I mean, I heard tile, slate, you know?
I mean, that, in my opinion, what I'm looking at here, it says, each property shall be recognized as a product of its own time. Alterations that have no historical basis and which seek to create an earlier appearance shall be discouraged. The other part of that is, as I said, that,
An earlier
we
appearance?
don't, hold on, could you, let me just finish.
Okay.
On the Sanborn maps, the one part that shows, not in this block, I mean, this block showed all garages having composition roofs. But just kind of looked around in the surrounding area, and some of them had the open circle, which could mean, let me see the list of it, metal, slate, tile, or asbestos. But it doesn't, it's, the open circle means non-combustible. It doesn't say which of those could, so it could have been. I think Joseph Mccabe had an opinion about this, and he's just joined the meeting.
I have just joined the meeting, confirmed.
Yeah,
Welcome,
just
Joe.
after working on as many historic properties, you know, from Arlington Potter Shed all the way to,
Mark, can I
Right.
ask, Mark, can I ask a favor? Can we have just a quick discussion amongst the commissioners for a minute?
I'm Ed DeLong though. This is Ed DeLong, not Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ed. I'm sorry. I was looking at your
Yeah, I know. I'm on another.
screen. Sorry, Ed. Are you okay if we just have a quick conversation amongst the commissioners?
Yeah, I'm very okay.
Okay, thank you. Joe, you just joined.
Yes.
Where's my Joe? I feel like, Connie, what I'm hearing you say is that because of the age of the garage, manufacturing it to look as if it had been an original garage is not what the guidelines give us as direction for the HRC.
Correct, yeah.
So that feels like that's not really what we're looking at, but this as a mid-century garage and what the proper treatment is.
Correct. And the other way that the other part comes in that I was talking about, where there may have been metal roofs there, is 3116.11, number 12. In passing upon appropriateness, the commission shall consider, in addition to any other pertinent factor, the architectural characteristics typical of structures in the district or listed property, the historical and architectural value and significance, architectural style, general design, arrangement, texture, material, and color of features, and so forth in the immediate neighborhood. So it just kind of up to the commission, which way are you going to weigh that, in my mind.
Thank you. Thank you.
I do have a question since I was not at the business meeting. Joe, would you mind giving me just a real quick wrap up of your thoughts on the opportunity with the roof?
I think my concern was just the appropriateness of the material, more or less.
I'm sorry, has Joe been sworn in?
Joe is a commissioner.
Commissioner.
Oh, you don't swear in the commissioners? Okay, thanks.
Most of my concern was really just the appropriateness of the use of the material in the district.
Okay. And we have no other examples to use as a benchmark where we have a standing seam roof on a garage in that district. Is that what I'm sort of catching as well? Existing currently?
I drove up and down both sides of the alley along Brighton Road, from Rhodes to Parsons, and there are none there currently.
Okay.
Most of the buildings have non-original asphalt, so we don't know what was their original.
Well, if the applicants want to look for historical photos that we have some representation of what's in that district and come in next month, that might be an option if we could validate having something like that exist. And if not, I think we need to move forward with what the appropriate material should be.
Yeah, and Stewart, to just kind of maybe clarify or add to it would be, it's not so much the that I would not feel a metal roof was inappropriate, but it was the specific standing seam configuration. If that is something normally found. I mean, it seems like when there have been metal roofs on historic buildings, they've been seamed together in something other than a standing seam when they've been on a historic building or have had, historic treatments. And I did not know that there'd be precedent for the seam type, not necessarily that even the metal was completely inappropriate. So I just want to make sure that the right decision is given. And just like we give scrutiny to an asphalt shingle roof replacing a slate roof, and there's goals of trying to make things look or feel appropriate in a historic district, is to make sure that we're making the right decision about a material or giving guidance in this case that is just appropriate, because there are a lot of inappropriate standing seam metal products out there.
And for us to vary from the guidelines, we need to have a good reason for that variance. And it sounds like the guidelines are relatively straightforward on the interpretation. So Stewart, I think your comment about additional information from the applicant to justify varying from the guidelines would be helpful if that's available. Otherwise, yeah, I think we need to look at appropriate materials.
And then maybe we'll put this back to the applicant. Mr. Wolf, did you want to take some time to do that, or
Ed DeLong.
This is Ed DeLong, right? And this would be the first time I ever went through the Columbus Commission in my, 30-year history and didn't get a staff approval on something I did, because I'm your friend.
We now
I'm
follow
your friend, not
the
your enemy.
guidelines better than used to be.
My company never does anything but historic stuff. You know what I mean? We don't do. We
How would you
only
like
do.
to proceed?
Huh?
How would you like to proceed, Mr. Wolf?
I'd like to. It's Ed DeLong. But well, if you're going to make us come and show you what's appropriate, we can take pictures and stuff. But we got this job in progress, and I want to rip that roof off and put the appropriate standing seam roof on it. And I know it's appropriate, and I know I can prove it to you in a month. You know what I mean? I've put standing seam porches on Brighton Road, and replace low pitch slate roof porches with standing seam. It's got approved. And oh, by the way, by staff, because they love me. They used to.
So we follow the guidelines more strictly now.
Yeah, because my thing is just I don't know. If we have to do it, we have to do it. We'll keep. This guy wants standing seam. I'd like to see. It's just that's a great. You're trying to force us to put a $400 roof on instead of a $900 or $1,200 a square roof. You know what I mean? It's a big downgrade. You know what I mean? We're being forced to put a downgrade. It's like 1/3 of the quality of what we're proposing.
So if you can find in the area, or any historic garages that have the original metal roof on it, that would be the most appropriate, or any other sort of documentation. You can send that to hrc@columbus.gov, and then we'll go forward from there.
All right, that's fine.
All right, thank you.
So the next commission meeting is June 3rd. I'm sorry, June 17th. And if we could have that information as soon as possible, but the business meeting where we would discuss it is on June 3rd. So if you have a chance to get that in, that would be fantastic. But what we're going to do now is we will make a motion to continue to the next meeting, which is June 17th, upon your information.
Well, thanks. At least thanks for that.
I would probably clarify that if enough information were submitted between now and the business meeting, perhaps this is something that could go to a staff approval if the appropriate documentation and materials were submitted.
I think that's a great idea.
I think if adequate examples of precedent is shown, then we're probably going to be fine.
Yeah. I like him.
We're not trying to be a barrier, but we're just trying to lead towards the right decisions.
I just want to tell you, a little bit. I don't know if you guys know my history with you guys, but I've done
Yes, we do.
a lot of stuff. A lot
Thank
of stuff.
Stewart, would you like me to make a motion to continue?
So
yes,
moved.
please.
So moved.
Second, anybody?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. We'll see you next month and hopefully sooner.
Hey, thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Okay. So that brings us down to item number 5, I believe.
I have a question. I can't remember. Did we actually vote on officers last month? Or are you voting on it this month? Okay,
We
so
did. Yeah, we just submitted the nominations from the nominating committee.
okay, and just for Joe to update, the reason why Stewart is chairing is because Clyde was having some audio troubles.
Yeah, I see his image is frozen up a few times on us.
And if, you know, if he clears up and wants to come back, that's fine, or we can just keep moving, whatever sounds good.
If it doesn't clear up, I may just leave the meeting. You'll work without me anyway.
Right?
So if I disappear, I'll just disappear.
Okay, thanks. Okay,
The next item is number 5. It's 664 Oakwood Avenue.
and we have Eric
We have some-
Clark present.
Yep, I'm here.
Mr. Clark,
Yep, I'm here. Could you guys
great.
hear
If I
me?
can have you raise your right hand, please. We'd like to swear you in.
Absolutely.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth of the testimony you're providing this evening.
I do.
Right hand up.
Sorry.
There you go. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Connie, do you mind giving us some info about this one?
Yes, this application was continued from the January 21st HRC agenda. Installation of new windows and other improvements at this fire damaged dwelling were approved by the commission in June of 2020. A Windows quote was submitted and approved by staff, with staff's understanding that the quote was based on original roof opening measurements, as the windows did not appear to be downsized in the approved drawings. And any changes to COAs or approved drawings require additional review by the commission. Reframing of some windows was reported to 311, and HPO staff was notified by code enforcement in December of 2020. The windows have been ordered and received, but not installed. And some of them, as you can tell from the information that you got, are requested to be downsized. That includes to decrease the height of 9 windows on the west, south, and north elevations by raising the sill height by 9 inches. And decreasing the height of 3 windows on the south, reduced from 59 to 57 inches, and 3 windows on the east elevation, reduced from 59 to 52 on the rear elevation. So recommend that all new windows match the original roof openings, as the size and details of window openings are distinguishing characteristics of historic properties. Based on CC 3116.11, replacement of missing architectural features shall be based on accurate duplications of features. Downsized window openings are not compatible with the size or scale of the property. Staff would not strongly oppose reducing the height of the ribbon of 6 windows that wrap around the south and east elevations of the rear addition, if addition of the structural beams, as Mr. Clark will discuss, is a safety issue that preserves the integrity of the addition. That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Clark, you're up.
Okay, as the picture that's up there right now, part of why it looks so bad, the one on the right, that was a doorway, which is not original. So we're taking it back to a window. So that picture is not up there. There it is. The one on the right, you see like that whole, that was a doorway. They had a roof over the porch, which is not original. So we're taking it back to match the other window. This, like what the notes are inaccurate. Like it's what we're actually doing is moving them up 6 inches. So you can see where it's framed at the bottom, and it will move above 6 inches. So it's not actually reducing the window size. This all started, the contractor said if it's code is 18 inches above the floor, you don't have to have tempered glass. So that's why he did that, was to avoid the tempered glass, which is more expensive. Had I known it was going to lead to all of this, I would have interrupted that. I didn't. So he went ahead and ordered those windows. We are not, you can see at the bottom of all these windows, that little 6-inch part, it will move up at the top. I don't know if you can see up underneath there. We're going to move it up. I thought that would look weird architecturally until I started looking around. Many houses have the top of the window closer to the trim than we do. I supplied a couple of pictures of that, but there's many, many examples. And I don't know, you know, I'm not an architectural guy. So we're not making those 9 windows are not going to be smaller. Those yellow windows will not be smaller. They're the original size. They're just going to move up. My second, if that is absolutely going to be denied, the 4 on the front that face the street, we could not move them up, and then we'd reorder those 4. And then the ones on the side, the 5, we would move up. You know, as you guys know, it's like a bowling alley between these houses. You can't really, like when you look down the side, you're not seeing as much as I get from the front of the street has more impact. So that's the first, those 9, it's inaccurate. It's not decreasing. They're just moving up, if that makes sense to anybody.
Yes, I see that.
I mean, I'm just going to discuss those first, and then I'll talk about the other ones. Does that if that's okay?
I'd love to have you just present your full case here and then offer comments.
Okay. So that's those, all the yellow ones moving up 6 inches. The orange ones, as Connie said on the back, they face the alley, the ones on the back. This is not original to the house. This little section in the back, above the back porch, I actually removed gutter and shingles from inside the house where they had built on, and they'd left the gutter inside the wall. So it's a different situation. The structural engineer asked for lamb beams back there, and he asked for beams above, frankly, all of the second story windows. Which, because that back part, as you can see from these pictures, is lower, it's a lower roof line, and it wasn't designed to support the amount of weight that's going to be on it with us adding a room in the attic. So the structural engineer asked for those beams above the window, and because of the lower roof line, we had to reduce one bank of windows by 2 inches from 59 to 57, and then the back bank from 59 to 52, which was a 7-inch. So that's the greatest reduction in window. But I mean, he asked for that. You can see in the pictures, those beams are in there. There was no way around that. And that's what I've got. I'm open to
So are the back, so this relates to putting in the glue lamb on the back 3 windows and the side back corner 3 windows? Is that correct?
Yeah. That little bedroom. Yeah. I mean, and part of that too was we were going to have a bank of 3 windows ordered at once, but that's not approved. So we have separate windows, and that's, you know, when he saw that, it's not even just that though. He wanted beams above all the second story windows just to support the roof and the attic. And so in every other spot, we were able to do it because it's the original part of the house. It's a higher ceiling height. But back there, it's really low. There was just no other way to do it without reducing those windows. It was certainly not our choice.
If I can step in real quick. So, Mr.
Sure.
Clark, what you're suggesting is that what we're discussing is packing the 3 windows at 57 and then also the 3 windows at 52, just on that back corner.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I foresee that, you know, I see the beam in there, and I see that you're going to need to carry that weight to utilize some of that above in the attic.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with those. I think that the other items in the fronts are more concerning as well.
Okay.
I also could, going back to that last image or slide, I too could be okay with the corner 3 on the side and the back corner 3 on the side and the back corner 3 on the east elevation there to address structural deficiencies, you know, on this. That is a tight roof line, so I could live with those 6 windows on sort of a non-primary corner, given the structural complexity issues being being a extenuating circumstance to maybe reconsider those 6.
Yeah.
And I would agree with Stewart and all those back 6.
Okay.
So, Mr. Clark, can you meet us on the fronts and get the other ones situated?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, good. Somebody want to put a motion together?
Are there other
Can we,
details that we need addressed here, though? I think with trims or moldings.
real quick though, let me clarify. So of the 9 yellow, are you wanting me to not move any of those up, or can I just leave the ones on the front of the house the same, but on the side move those up? Is that a possibility? I mean, you cannot even see that from the street. And if you could, I think they look great moved up. I mean, I get the front of the house, it would change the look, but on the side, they just.
I am struggling with the sides and the front, the sides in particular, because the windows don't align at the head. I think
Exactly.
they historically need to continue to align on the head
Okay.
Yeah,
of the window.
I got you.
you're right on it, Joe.
I don't see a way we could get away from the guidelines in the side or the front.
Okay. I got you. All right. Well, then on to the trim. Let's see. I mean, I don't know if you guys have I created some trim. I don't know if you got those.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
you did a pretty good job of that photo at the bottom of milling that trim down. That's pretty doggone close.
That's what it's going to be if you're okay with it.
I would just ask that you provide a drawing of whatever the section is. You could do that on a single sheet of paper at full scale. Just
Okay.
measure it out and show us a slice through, provide that to staff, and have staff put that in their file. And then additionally, just Connie, if you can also review the head trims and the side jam trims, just making sure we're consistent with requirements in the district. I just think you need to be documented on your side, your sill, jam, and head trims all the way around, that you're consistent, and I'm okay with staff approving that.
Okay. I mean, we're not there yet, but that's what I'm going to do. So
And I'm comfortable with staff reviewing those details as well.
yeah.
And I think you've got a really good eye for detail. So I feel comfortable knowing that you're going to do a good job to try to put this back like it was supposed to.
Oh, absolutely. So
Yeah.
yeah. I'm excited about it. I was very excited to build these. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Good. Okay, I think we're down to, and let me get back to the agenda.
Is it time for Joe to make the motion?
Yeah, Joe, do you mind? So that's the west and the south elevation on the porch, and there's a total of 6 windows, right? That's what we're doing, and we're doing 2 inches.
9.
Oh yeah, 9, 3 on each face.
And in the case of HR-21-01-11, move to approve as amended and agreed to by the applicant this evening, that the rear and side 6 windows that meet in the corner be allowed to decrease in size to make a special accommodation for structural deficiencies and structural accommodations in a very unique scenario, and that the applicant will follow up with Connie and staff regarding jam, head, sill, and decorative cornice trims above all these windows, and document that prior to installation and construction for all windows, and that the applicant is going to return or correct the remaining front and side windows as required to meet historic guidelines.
Nice, Joe. Can we get a second?
I'll second that.
Great. All those in favor? Aaron?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Clyde, can you hear me?
Aye. Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
All right. Thanks a lot, you guys. Have a great day.
Have a good evening. Okay. I think that brings us down to number 6. Is that correct? East Frambies. Looks like HR-21-05-028. 113 East Frambies Avenue.
Okay. Lewis, could you bring up the staff report? Looks like I didn't print that one out. Or else I can do it that quickly.
All right, I'm having some technical issues here with my PDF viewer. It's stuck on full screen. I'm gonna have to restart it.
Okay, I'll just
Sorry about that.
hold on just a second and I will look for it here so I can just read it on my.
All right, wait a minute. I might be good. All right, I'm here. Give me 1 second. I'll just screen share now. It was
Okay.
stuck.
Thank you.
Sure. Apologize. Here we go.
Okay, this is a new front stairs and landing. To remove the existing original metal stairs and landing system on the facade and construct a new wooden stairs and landings system for the drawings. May 6th business meeting comments include the proposed wooden stairs are bulky and stand out visually more than the original stairs. The roof line of the overhang above the stairs should remain the same. And the replacement should look more mid-century to match the character of the building. No new information has been submitted or revisions since the business meeting. Staff recommends continuing the application to allow the applicant time to explore other more appropriate options, such as the prefabricated commercial stair systems. And the reason I say that is because I just kind of did a quick search, and I found, some that am I giving feedback to you guys? Because I'm getting it from
Just a little bit, just a minute ago, but you're really good.
I did a quick search and I found some that, some prefabricated stairs, sometimes all metal and some that were wooden metal that are more streamlined and so forth. I don't know anything about the cost or anything, but we do have some people here, Kelsey Gray and Mark Harris from Home Team Properties to discuss it.
Great.
Daryl is actually also here as well. Daryl, I know you usually speak at these.
Daryl,
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
Okay. So I think the first one that we needed to check in was with Miss Gray. Is she with us today?
She is in. She is having.
She's muted. She's muted.
Here's the thing, for everybody that is going to speak, we need to be able to see you and we need to be able to hear you. And then we need to swear you in.
I don't have video capabilities, but from what I understand, Daryl will be able to take the majority of the questions.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Allen, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth of the testimony you're providing this evening?
I do.
Great, thank you. And I believe there was one more that wanted to maybe chime in.
Mark Harris is muted.
I'm unmuted.
Okay. We can see you now.
Yep.
Great, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth of the testimony you're providing today?
I do.
Great, thank you. Okay. Connie, we've had a lot of good photos and I'm reading through the notes. The first question I have, has there been a structural inspection? Is this is completely unsound, or what's the reasoning for this to be restored or replaced?
Yeah, some of the columns and the beams are rusted and the landings. So we're doing that project right behind that building now for 2043 wall deck that we just got an approval from. So we want to redo this deck and landing also. That's how we noticed the issues there.
Okay.
I think
But there-
some of the discussion maybe during the business meeting, Stewart, was that the stringers and framing, especially along the stairs, look pretty rather pitted through and rotted. And I don't
Okay.
know of a successful way to solve pitting steel, but is there?
Cut it out.
Yeah, I do believe the applicant does have a reasonable request to probably make a replacement on steel stairs like this.
Okay. There was, I think Connie had mentioned earlier, there are several options that are commercially available in other metallic options like aluminum, I'm assuming, and also steel. Connie, can you provide a little more info on that quick search you did?
Just that, like I said, I did a quick search that I saw some like this, very much like this. And then I saw some that were even a little bit more streamlined. The metal part but had wood treads, and which seemed appropriate too. It would seem, whatever the appropriate style, if maybe some different styles could be submitted. And like I said, I don't know anything about the price of that, the cost of that compared to building the wood. Seems like it would be easier to maintain than because we talked about at the business meeting that any wood would have to be kept painted. It couldn't be
Right.
left unpainted, and so it's just a thought that I had.
Sure. Okay, so Mr. Allen, you have another project going on behind this one, and so it was kind of a matter of this needed it as well. We have one going. Let's kind of use the same format for this particular project. That's kind of the rationale.
Yeah, but you guys gave me the approval to do concrete. We just did a resubmittal there, and we were going to do wood 2043 east of that building, but we decided to do concrete back there with which you guys gave us the approval. So
Not yet.
but
That's the next application.
I thought that was already approved. But yeah, that's so we just did some investigation on this, and we had a couple contractors come out that does welding like that in that area, and they suggested also to remove it, tear it down and remove it, rebuild it. So we're thinking, the drawings that we submitted from the architect, if that would work for the guidelines.
And the overall conversation at the business meeting is this is not an appropriate replacement. I'm not opposed to replacing it. It does look not in good shape, but it has a very decorative feel. And this is the primary facade, so that also adds to the importance of getting it right.
Right.
I would agree. This is a more mid-century small home, and what is proposed would not be, that, and even the doors I think that are shown on this, which are not the current doors, make this mid-century home like it wants to be a farmhouse with a little sloped roof on a porch and everything. It's just not compatible architecturally for the time period of the house. So I do agree on granting an extension to the applicant to find a more appropriate stair system. Acknowledging that, like for like may not be completely at times possible, but there are lots of metallics options, prefabricated options. There are aluminum component options. I think there's a variety of solutions you may be able to come up with that'll get you much closer to or similar to what is sort of there, or even in line with the architectural aesthetic that you need.
So we're saying no wood then? Is that, I just want to confirm.
Wood would be an inappropriate porch structure and stair structure.
Okay.
What about a concrete assembly?
But I think, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but if there were wood treads or something that would make it a safer condition. I lived in an apartment building for years with a metal staircase, and the fact that I never fell my death down an icy wood metal staircase is pretty impressive. And I think I would be open to some opportunities, on treads and things like that to consider different materials.
I think in the current lumber market, they may find the aluminum and steel options are just
That's
as,
fair.
as
That's
price
fair.
sensitive. However, yes, I agree. I mean, as long as taking cues from what you already have, finding something that's a little bit more sensitive would be appropriate.
The less we
With-
notice that this has changed, the more we're going to be feel like it's appropriate.
Yeah, we don't want to make this home into a Victorian that it's not.
Okay.
And so I think, and most importantly, Joe said it a couple times, but that delicateness of the way that allows the brick to come through and showcase the house, that the structure, that's what it's about.
Would you
So
would a concrete assembly be adequate for that area, like a concrete second floor decking? Instead of using wood, could we fab it with concrete?
I think we would have to see just a set of drawings, to be quite honest.
Okay.
If you still had steel columns and steel frame on the perimeter, and maybe if it was a metal deck with concrete or something, if that's the kind of the direction you're asking for, I mean, that sounds more compelling than what's currently proposed, but I think we'd have to see drawings.
Okay.
The next business meeting is June 3rd, and the next commission meeting is June 17th. So if you could please get that information into the staff, that'd be great.
By
I'll entertain.
June 3rd.
Well, actually, we need it prior to that because that's the time when we get together to meet.
Okay.
So we need enough time for staff to be able to put that information together.
May 21st is, no, wait a minute. What's today? So you get an extra week beyond, so next Thursday,
Okay.
at 5 p.m.
And it's kind of tight, but let us know. We can work with you a little if it gets too much because we know we're going from back to zero again. So.
And it could be at the conceptual level for the business meeting just to get feedback from the commissioners,
Right.
so that you can see if you're headed in the right direction without going full, direction of architectural, but give us an understanding of where you're headed, and that way you'll get good feedback from the commission.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion?
I make a motion to continue the case till the next meeting.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aaron?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Clyde?
Clyde left the meeting about 4:45 due to technical
And
difficulties.
I voted aye as well, so that we're going to continue that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Connie, I still see Clyde.
Oh, I do?
I do. And I thought he just voted.
Yeah, he voted.
Oh, I do see him now.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. So Mr. Henry is still here.
Okay, that brings us to number 7, which is HR-21-05-029. And the address is 2043 to 2057 Waldeck Avenue. And I believe we already have Mr. Allen sworn in from the previous. And Connie, if you'd like to talk a little bit about this one.
Okay, modification and reconstruction of rear stoops at this address was approved in August 2020. This application changes the wood base and railings to concrete and aluminum. May 6th business meeting comments included that the steel or wrought iron railings would be, let me start over. Steel or wrought iron railings would be preferred over aluminum. It does not seem that changing the material from wood to concrete would make a big difference in this case. And the concrete should not have a faux block applied or have some sort of form mold on the exterior. Because the rear entrances were originally accessed by rear stoops, concrete as a base material appears appropriate. The existing wooden railings and ground level wooden decks were a later addition, so removing them is not an issue. Metal hand railings are often approved for concrete stairs and stoops, so metal railings appear appropriate. Wrought iron or steel would be preferred, as aluminum railings have less heft and can be easily pitted and damaged. So recommend approval with the recommendation that aluminum railings should be changed to steel railings or match the original wood privacy railings on the front porch.
All right. What do you think, Mr. Allen?
Again, that on that assembly, we just wanted to go from wood to concrete, and then a nice, I don't know, maybe a 4 square aluminum spindles, railing, or I mean, whatever is approved for your guidelines. I mean, definitely not wood.
Okay, then we'll do steel and concrete. Does that sound all right?
That's good for me.
Okay, that was quick.
These- I don't
So-
argue.
All right, we need a motion, Joe.
In the case of HR 21-05-029, move to approve as presented.
Nice.
But with steel railings, not aluminum, correct?
Right.
And with the commitments or the conditions noted by staff, specifically no form molds to be used.
Very good.
Sounds good.
I'll second that.
Great. Okay. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aaron?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Clyde? And I say aye as well, so it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen, for your help.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Same to you. Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye now.
Yep.
Okay. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. All right. That brings us down to number 8. HR-21-05-030, and that's 177 West Jeffrey Place.
Okay, this is for an new exterior stairs on the garage. So tax records indicate that the frame garage was built circa 1921, about the same time that the house was built. The 2-bay garage is accessed by a driveway extending southward from West Jeffrey Place. It is offset to the west, with only the east bay of the garage being visible from the street. There is no alley behind the property. The proposed new exterior stairs would not be visible from any public right-of-way. One original window would be altered by increasing the height by 29 inches. The Compass Register guidelines for window stays do not eliminate window openings, fill in, or alter them to accommodate larger or smaller window replacement. Staff supports this particular application only because this is a secondary structure that is not visible from any public right-of-way. In addition, because the garage is frame construction with wood siding, the alteration could be reversed per CC 3116.11, number 10, standards for alteration. Whenever possible, a new addition or alteration shall be accomplished so that its future removal will not impair the essential form and integrity of the structure. Based on these standards, recommend approval of the application as submitted, with the stipulation that the exterior door casings and crown molding match the existing window casings and molding. That's all.
Do we have anybody for these guys?
Yes, we have Sarah.
Yes. Hi, hello.
Sabi.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Quite well, thank you. Can you raise your right hand and so we could swear you in?
Yes.
I can't see Sarah. Oh, there you are. I got you now. Sorry.
Hi.
All right. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth of the testimony you're providing this evening?
Yes, I do.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you for coming in today, or joining us on the meeting, rather. The one other piece that I think is really important to consider as well is, if there's a way to store that window carefully when it's removed, put it up in the attic somewhere, or just hide it, because it's an original looks like an original 6/1.
Yes,
I think there's
definitely.
value to hanging on to that.
Yes.
And I would be comfortable with staff's recommendation with that small addition.
Can do.
I am comfortable with approving with the conditions that staff has mentioned.
I'm also comfortable with that.
Very good. Aaron, would you like to make a motion?
Oh, well, I guess so. In the case of HR-21-05-030, recommend approval of the application with conditions as indicated by staff.
Okay.
And
And-
retaining the window and hiding it somewhere where it can be brought up if necessary.
I'll store it with the old screens in the basement.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
I second that motion.
Thank you, Joe. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aaron
Yes, sorry.
and Joe.
Aye.
Great. And Clyde? And I'm aye as well. I see Clyde's hand.
Okay, just let me know because most of the time he's
Aye.
frozen. For me. Oh,
Yeah,
got it.
he's
Gotcha.
there. And we got a thumbs up too.
I heard the aye. Thank you.
All righty. Thanks again, Sarah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good evening. All right, looks like that brings us down to number 9. And that's HR-21-05-031, 789 Kimball Place.
I did not get a reply of anyone attending this, and I do not see that the owner or the applicant attending. So I don't know if you want to give some feedback in their absence, or if you want to.
I feel like we should, based on the
Continue.
comments of the business meeting, we should just move to continue this to the next meeting.
Okay.
So moved. All
Second.
those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aaron?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Clyde? And
Aye.
myself. So we'll move that to the 17th.
Yeah.
All right, brings us to 880 East Broad Street, which is HR-21-05-032.
Okay, we do have someone here for this one. This is to demolish garages partially and install, oops, I have that wrong there. It's basically a sort of a carport, not a parking pad like it was before. May 6th business meeting comments included. The proposed changes make the building look better for a modern use was one opinion. The proposed changes are not appropriate. It is forcing it to be a modern carport was another opinion. A very strong case must be presented as to why it cannot be a complete garage. After that business meeting, drawing sheets A4 and A5 were revised with additional detail regarding the interior steps. The existing steps to the doors at the rear of the garage on the interior of the garage are deteriorated. Code will require a landing and 3 steps, which encroaches further onto the interior space. It is still unclear whether the addition of the new interior steps and landing or removal of the non-original overhead doors and bump outs and installation of new overhead doors would limit the interior space enough to make it usable as a garage. The Columbus Register guidelines for garages state, do not alter the scale, proportions, or form of a garage. CC 3116.11, standards for alteration states, contemporary design for alteration to a property shall not be discouraged when such alteration does not destroy significant historical, architectural, or cultural material, and its design is compatible with the size, scale, color, material, and character of the property, its environment, and surrounding contributing properties. The alterations as currently proposed do not appear to be compatible with the character of the property, its environment, and surrounding contributing properties. Recommend that the application continued following discussion with the applicant to return with more detailed information. This may include a site visit, a staff, or maybe a commissioner or two if required. That's all I have.
All right. It appears we have a pretty significant amount of folks that are interested in talking tonight.
As far as I know, we just have
David Blair.
You have me.
David
That's
Blair.
it?
I think that's the only one.
Okay. All right, Mr. Blair.
Excuse me. Sorry. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate the time. Wanted to
Can I get you to,
Sorry.
can we swear you in here real quick first?
certainly can. Yeah. You need me to stay in?
Yeah, just raise your right hand. Swear or affirm to tell the truth of the testimony you're providing this evening.
Do.
Great, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
You should have received from the original, from the original packet, from the packet for this meeting. Just I think the beginning of the week, I updated Connie Friday with a drawing that I think might help with some of the questions that came up in the executive meeting. I apologize I wasn't there to at least hear them, but I was on vacation. So we are, and that would be Connie, if you bring up the A4 drawing, I think that kind of is best, and we can walk through. Our overall depth we're really dealing with here is if you were from the inside of our wall, and kind of if you want to give me the screen, that's fine, but the inside of the wall that is along the south side where the steps up, and there's about a 21-inch rise towards the existing building. From the inside of that wall to our alley line, we have 18 feet plus. We got a few inches, it's a little unclear, but so we're really dealing with an inside depth here of just over 18 feet. I've tried to illustrate the what we're proposing with the steps. Again, there's a 21-inch drop from the grade that the primary multifamily building is on to the garage. Creates a nice little courtyard area, but as the existing steps would have to be removed, and you can see their locations, there's 4 of them in the existing plan. Those steps would have to be rebuilt. They don't meet the current code. Most of them are crumbling. So in the current code, to have an access door, gate, etc., we have to have a 4-foot landing on either side of that. So we have to build a 4-foot landing into the garage, and then we'll have 2 11-inch treads to create our 3 risers for the 21-inch rise. So you can see what an encumbrance that is upon the depth and even the width of a potential garage space. To create garages, you would, I don't know how you do it, quite frankly. Obviously, you'd need more space. You'd put it in between the garage. The garage door then becomes a very odd dimension because you got to count for that 4 feet. So you're like a 22-foot garage door to span the distance for two cars and this stair that you need. And with 19 feet, we can't really turn it because then we don't have enough depth at all for the car. You can see it's tight this way, and we've even kind of designed this to pull in backwards and forwards to really get your doors to work in trying to maintain the walls. So yeah, yep.
The circumstances are based on only that it's an aluminum gate. What if we put a door in there? Does that change the?
No, doesn't change. Yeah, gate or door, gates or door, either way. We need that platform. The proposed gate system or fence system we're showing now, it's no different requirement than if it was a wall system with a door in it under the current. So to meet the current demands of the garage of the current code, it becomes almost unusable to create the garage in that location. So again, that's why we're proposing it to be opened on the alley side. I think we established before that the garage doors and the wood structure for those garage doors are not original, and there's not a record of what it was originally. We certainly want to maintain that line along the alley as much as we can. Again, just let's just go to the effort of putting garage doors in. They've continually been vandalized. Some of the pictures you showed, they've been damaged. Some of them have fallen in. And that's continued to happen, as I'm told, over time by ownership. So that's what we're responding to in that. So we're responding to a tight condition in current modern codes, and we need to bring this up to try to create a usable, functional parking area. So that's why the proposal we have. We still want to keep the end walls. We want to keep as much of that brick as we can. We've pulled it back so we have access. Created 2 steps that we can then access from, either side. People can utilize to get into the space. Again, we are hoping to keep. We are proposing a fence along the side facing the building. Good deal of it for security. That wall pretty essentially needs to come down in most cases. It's a good for the people to be able to look out in the car to create some security. It's security for them there. It also creates some security when you're coming into this space. So there's not something to hide behind on either side. So that's why we're proposing as the way we are. There's also, at this time, almost everything around there. Unfortunately, yes, garages and other elements have been destroyed and taken down, but this fence system is very prominent in that entire area, I think, as most people know. So we don't think we're still trying to keep in keeping with what's been done there recently, as some of these structures have been removed. So that's where we're at currently.
Okay.
And I will confess from the business meeting to be the one who's supportive. Right now, I think maybe there's some detail pieces, but I live right around the corner and it's in really poor shape. And this feels like an opportunity to preserve the shape of it and have an acknowledgement of it, but allow it to be modernized. It's not a great part of the alley right now, and I feel like this is an opportunity to have an investment in it. I don't see the circumstance where you get garages back based on dimensions and code and just the modern needs of folks. So I'm comfortable. I think there's a boatload of details that I'm sure the architects could help me out with to improve it. But I'm comfortable with this direction.
I would agree with Aaron if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
I would probably take the opposite point of view here. For me, it's about there is removal of historic fabric, which is, what is a solid wall with windows is now becoming very large open swaths with, fencing put in. And I do believe even you're proposing maybe a standing seam metal roof on this, which doesn't even sort of have a precedent where maybe a flat regular roofing material might be more appropriate. Somehow, some of this feels like demolition by neglect of the existing garages. I'm not saying that if this was even a pristine garage, that we shouldn't be willing to allow amendment of a garage for the modern automobile or addressing, code, modern code issues related to access and stairwells, et cetera. But I think this takes the garage as a feature and an element and makes it an open contemporary carport in a way that does not completely respect what this was, even if some rebuilding is required. I mean, we know that this was a garage and it was there, and that there are walls with windows, and that's kind of all being disregarded to make it a very open shelter.
But do we know that it had garage doors originally? Because we had 2 structures at 15th and High that we worked with that never had garage doors that would have been in the same sort of era. So I think that's one of my primary questions. Is there's certainly examples of these kinds of structures without doors.
Can we go back to photos maybe of what is there today?
I mean, you can see when I've walked by this a bunch of times, and you can tell it's a stuck-on thing that they put on to create the door.
It does look like a bit of a bump out.
It is a
Yeah,
bump out.
It's definitely a bump out, definitely a frame bump out, and that little mansard piece, which would not have been
Yeah.
typical, and obviously the doors aren't. I do want to bring it up. Perfect lead in, Mr. Mccabe, because obviously there was discussion previously at one of the previous hearing with regard to the roofing structure, or the roof, I'll call it, not the structure. So I'm open to discussion on that, and I guess I don't know how historic looks at that when if we're replacing enough of it, when is it becoming something that should be appropriate to its own time, and when should it be appropriate to the original? So I'm open to what the board's discussion is on that.
I mean, I sort of feel that if this were, even if it were left open, I feel like you have the perimeter walls that could be rebuilt, and a flat roof that is still a flat roof could be maintained with integrity, and it could still be an open carport. But when you look at it, it wouldn't look as modern as what's been presented. It would look like this appendage piece is stripped off. It would still have a flat roof. It would still have its clear reading brick walls, and it would even still have the window rhythms that have now all been removed from the inside wall. So I think, to me, that's, we're allowing a fair amount of removal and interpretation here, or reinterpretation of an item, that still may not be appropriate, but that's just my sole opinion. I think the early automobile history and those kinds of things are still important pieces of it. Do I think you could get there with some adjustments? Yes, there are some things I could live with if we really felt, it needed to be open and maybe without doors. I think I could even live with that. But we talk about not altering windows in many ways, and here we're allowing complete eradication of all windows in that garage, along that back garage wall, for kind of what are very large framed openings with just fence infill.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that, Joe. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'm along Joe's line of thinking. I mean, they could do screening grates within the openings that exist. And then, 50 years from now, this will be changed again. But if we keep the same footprint, we keep the same structure, other than the secondary bump out, then I think we're doing justice by making that historic element of that piece live on.
And
I think, would you mind? Oh, sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mr. Blair, is there any, would you be amenable to simply leaving in the historic rear wall of that garage intact, and then just infilling the window openings with a metal screening section?
Yeah, I guess my question would have been, do you mind with the layout, and the layout that may adjust a little bit from what's here, but just for detailing, I think all the window openings, or almost all the window openings in that, we could do just what you said. Either we have to do some brick repair, but we could probably leave those window openings. Again, I think there might be one or two of the wood frames, but the rest are gone. I don't think it makes much sense to just have the wood frame in there if it's going to be open. I think it needs to be, and that's what we're looking for. Also, the existing door openings, those existing doors are a hollow metal door. They're not original, right? So if we open those up, and just infill those with some, just like gating, like we're saying, that gives us some openings. So we're not completely closed off, and I might have to knock in a couple extras. Maybe I can find a way to reuse them, but otherwise, at least maybe I can knock in these other two gates and have obviously the stairs that we need code wise. So if the board's amenable to that, I can certainly discuss that with the owner to try to get that as an approval.
And then I guess maybe the last item is, would you be amenable to switch, the precedent here for, I think you're proposing a standing seam metal roof. I just want to make sure that, again, this is an appropriate roof, when really it looks like there's just simply a flat roof there that, I don't know if it was, there's a number of flat roof products that sort of appeared around the 20s onward. It could have been anything.
There's a kind of built-up bitumen tar roof, right? It's probably had 3 or 4. Well, by this time it's had 3 or 4 layers on it. Certainly, you don't see that too much anymore. I didn't want to propose I'm open to the discussion of the board on that. I know you just had discussion with regard to that, and again, as we're making some adjustments to elements, I don't know what you consider maintain the historical precedence of something and as you're rebuilding it, or not trying to do that. So
I think one of the
give me your
things is,
thoughts.
you know, that it's the way that the roof kind of has a little bit of a parapet. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that's really different is when you look at the side of this thing, you've got brick and then this thing sort of sits on top of it versus in your design versus when you look at an existing photo, it's clearly the framing sits lower than an actual parapeted
Yes.
capped wall. And if that can remain, you know, intact or in a rebuilt form with the parapet brick still coming together like it really does today. And, you know, I understand a bitumen built up roof might not be appropriate, but maybe just a basic EPDM roof is more appropriate. Yes, I understand it's not as deluxe, it's not as expensive, but it's still more in keeping with what would have been there to a greater degree.
Right. I did part of a rendering snafu. I would agree the parapet portion needs to remain. I agree. And that would be the intent, definitely. It'll have to maybe make some adjustments at that center parapet because we're actually removing that wall. But I would agree that look should remain. And it would have been intended as a metal roof. We would have kept that same element. The brick parapet needs to extend above the roof.
Sounds good. So how about a week or so? You might be able to have a little bit of a change on the drawings for us.
Yeah, we can continue it. We can update that back wall, update a couple of detailing. So hopefully we're to a point that the board's comfortable with it.
Great.
And because of the level of feedback, if we can make sure just, you know, updates on wall sections, any details regarding handrails and the infill of screens and, you know, if you're putting any light fixtures on it, I mean, if you just have a very comprehensive package, you know, we can expedite this.
Right. Okay. Good.
Okay.
Move.
I'll entertain
So
a motion to
officially for
continue.
record, I'll say I'll move to continue.
Good job. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aaron?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Clyde?
Aye.
And I say aye as well. Thank you, Mr. Blair. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, board. Appreciate your time.
Have a good evening. Okay, looks like that brings us to 699 Oakwood Avenue. HR-21-05-033.
Okay, I also did not get a reply from this applicant, and I do not see him or anyone attending for this application. Anyone here for 699 Oakwood? He was at the business meeting, and I think he heard your comments and assumed it would be not approved, but I actually haven't, you know, discussed it with him since then. So, but I guess it just needs to be continued.
I
Well,
will move to continue.
So we can leave it on the table in case he chimes back in if you want.
Okay.
And
Sure.
we'll go ahead and do the Brighton Road next application. And then I think we're getting close to the end. So we got a couple left and then we'll come back to that and then we'll continue it. How about that?
Okay.
Right.
Okay, 1387 Brighton Road, HR-21-05-034. Is Monica joining us today? Do you know by chance?
Yes, I was just, oh, let's see. No, she cannot be here. Let me see, there was going to be another person attending. Where's my list? That I do not see. Oh, here it is, sorry. Dwight Davis? Well, I don't see anyone. It doesn't look like the person that she expected to attend is here. But I would be comfortable with, she told me she couldn't be here, so I would be comfortable with the commission acting on this one in her absence, if the commission feels comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think there was very minor stuff on this one. Connie, can you present the case and go over the materials?
Yeah, Lewis, could you bring that one up, please? Looks like I forgot to print that one out too. There were some updated, okay. So this is to install a new, that right there, that's good. Install a new partial in-ground swimming and spa pool. Swimming pools and spas are not specifically addressed in the Columbus Register guidelines. CC 3116.11 standards for alteration state that a contemporary alteration to a property can be appropriate when it will not destroy significant architectural material, and the alteration can be removed in the future without harming the integrity of the property. The proposed pool structure is located in a fenced rear yard and would not be visible from the public right-of-way. Upon removal at some time in the future, the rear yard could be filled, regraded, and replanted without harming historic landscape features. Recommend approval as submitted. And there were a couple of, I think I sent you before that there were a couple of drawings that were updated from after the business meeting that I added.
Connie, do you think that these drawings are sufficient for City of Columbus Building Department? I see the drawings, they have like generic cross sections.
Well, this is 699. We're on to the next one, actually. The pool.
1387.
The pool.
My bad. 1 second. Here.
That's okay.
Did you skip one?
Yes, we did.
Oh, okay, there you go. I believe these were the pools you were asking, the drawings you were asking about.
Yes.
So it looks like they have sort of the pool company kind of, puts together a cut sheet for the client, but then there's kind of a homemade site plan, which isn't terrible.
That's true.
But I don't see any electrical plans. I don't see any, there's an awful lot to do with putting a pool in and grounding requirements and that kind of thing. So I was just curious if there was more to this packet or if that's basically all we got.
I think my challenge at the business meeting was that there was no survey of the property that did not show where this was going and its relationship to the house, the garage, or anything in the yard.
Right. Now,
And it looks like, Joe, she just took the photo off of the other diagram to be the other diagram. I mean, I'm comfortable with it. I think, the city will require all of those components from the pool company.
Right.
And details, to Connie, but I don't have any concerns with this, with approving a pool in this backyard.
Nor do I.
I think Joe's questions were around like how close it was to the fence and just understanding that from our perspective, but I'd be comfortable with asking them to submit more detail to Connie, not just remove the photograph of the yard.
And
I would be comfortable approving on the condition that they still follow up and provide a true site plan to you for staff approval. Because I don't object to what is conceptually proposed, and I don't even object to the pool. And if it's very consistent with the pictures that are shown, I think you need something for documentation purposes.
And I also think that zoning will require that. So that they would just submit that to me after it's really kind of been approved by, or not approved, but sort of preliminarily reviewed by zoning.
Well, we could do
I would wait before issuing the COA until I got that.
Yeah, we'll do a conditional approval. How about that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Move to, in the case of HR-5-034, 1387 Brighton Road, provide a conditional approval to the concept package provided for the new pool, with the caveat that prior to issuance of the COA, staff has received an acceptable survey and or site plan that clearly shows the location of the pool, all of the existing property structures and the fence lines.
I'll second that.
Great. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aaron?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Henry?
Aye.
Great. And I as well. So that passes. Obviously, they need to get some more information to staff. That's good.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't think we have any formal action on the conceptual. We'll do that, and then we'll go back to that 699 Oakwood. The 13 is HR-21-05-035, and that's 609 South Ohio Avenue.
Okay. So this is to add a stairs and landing on the rear of the house because they would like to convert the unfinished attic space into a master suite. Based on Sanborn maps and tax records, the brick house was built circa 1890 as a single family dwelling, and the existing rear addition was built sometime after 1951. Moderately sized single family homes were built in the Old Oaks Historic District area in the late 19th to early 20th century. Several were converted to two-family dwellings prior to establishing the historic district in 1986, with inappropriate new door openings and exterior stairs or balconies being added. While the prehistoric district alterations cannot be required to be removed, introduction of new exterior stairs, door openings, balconies is not consistent with the Columbus Register guidelines or CC 3116.11 standards for alteration. And this differs in my mind from the garage because it's not a secondary structure. It's the main house structure. There's an alley behind it, and the building is brick. So this is conceptual, provide comments, no action required. And we have Brandon Shook, I think is going to be speaking.
Yep. Great. Louis, do you want to share the meeting materials? So thanks for having us tonight.
Were you sworn in?
Yeah, I was not. I have not been.
Okay, if I can have you please raise your right hand.
Do you need both of us?
Yes, please. Do you both swear and affirm to tell the truth of the testimony you're providing this evening?
I do. I do.
Thank you. Okay.
Great. Thanks. So, as Connie introduced, what we're bringing here today is really just to be considered for conceptual review by the commission. We're not requesting approval at this point, just with the understanding that we may need to make adjustments to the proposal prior to bringing back to the commission as a request for action. But really our hope today is that we're able to come away with this conversation with feedback from the commission that we can utilize to improve upon our proposal and ensure that what we're putting forward can be considered as appropriate. I also want to clarify that what we're attempting to solve for with this project being presented is a functional challenge with the property, along with our desire to improve the feeling of safety as it relates to access into and out of the third floor. We're not married to the design that is being put forth today, but are just simply using it as a starting point in order to help us explain the functional challenge that we're attempting to solve for. So we purchased our home on South Ohio earlier this year with the plan to restore it both inside and out. We love the historical nature of the old 140-year-old brick home that's still standing strong today. We've already done things like fixing the original limestone stairs leading from the sidewalk to the front of the property, which were unsafe and severely unlevel, and did an extensive leveling process to ensure that this historical aspect of the home was kept intact. And we're taking similar steps whenever and wherever we possibly can. So, we purchased the home with the expectation that we'd be finishing what is currently an unfinished third floor into a master suite. So looking at the meeting material that we have provided in section 1 and specifically page number 5 here, you can see that due to the layout of the second floor and the stairs to the third floor, the internal access to the third floor does not very well support bringing materials into the space to finish it, nor does it allow for furniture or furnishings of an appropriate size to be moved into the space once it's able to be finished. That this obviously restricts our ability to utilize the space as we planned. Also, with the expectation this would be our primary sleeping location, in order to improve upon our feeling of safety, we desire to have an exit directly from the third floor, which would be achieved with the proposed new doorway here. Section 2 of the meeting materials, specifically page number 7, provides an image of the rear exterior of the house, which faces the alleyway behind the house, which is the westernmost border of the Old Oaks Register District. We've provided here the location of the new doorway and the balcony and the stairs, which would lead to grade. Page number 8 provides a structural framing drawing of the proposed structure. Page number 9 provides a plan view and a rear elevation view of the structure, including proposed dimensions and locations. Section number 3 provides the detail of the railing that we would use, which would match the front railing, which has recently received staff approval. That's the COA there, just showing that we received it. Section number 4 provides an example of an exterior door to be used, which would match the current exterior doors on the front of the house.
No. That matches what's on the front?
Yeah, the design, yes, it does.
Wow, okay.
And then section number 5 just provides some examples of other homes within Columbus Registry districts, which just have similar structures in nature, either in function or design, to help demonstrate architectural characteristics typical of structures in the district. We documented these in order to help further portray the functional challenge and potential solutions that would be consistent with properties and structures within the district. If you want to go down to the next section, Lewis. So, as I mentioned previously, really what we're looking for is just any type of feedback from the commission that would help us solve the challenge with a historically appropriate structure. Let me know if you have any questions.
For me, the biggest thing that we're considering is that we have an entire area of brick that needs to be removed for the doorway. And I'm not sure if the exact location is where that sort of photo would be, but I have a really unsavory feeling about cutting holes in buildings like this and removing all that material. I understand the function of what it is that you need to do. Have you exhausted all other options?
Yeah, I mean, I think the doorway is the only option from a stairs perspective. I think we have we're certainly open to any suggestions there. I'm not sure that there's any way around the doorway. I will say that we do believe that that section of brick understood it would have to be removed, but is not necessarily a distinguishing architectural characteristic specifically of the home, unlike the existing windows or lentils. And we would store and preserve those bricks so that they, if needed to be put back into the space in the future, could be infilled.
What is the view perspective from the alley of the back of your house?
That's a pretty good. I mean, I guess that picture specifically that's on the screen was probably taken a couple feet in from the alley, if I had to estimate. Yeah, it's probably about halfway into the yard. I will say we do, we are open to anything as far as, I don't know if it would make a difference with like a privacy fence in the backyard or anything like that.
Can I ask a question? Thanks. The commission doesn't have any purview over interior changes. So, I mean, to me, it seems more appropriate to change the doorway on the interior of the property to open that up to a wider opening at the stairway than to make a new opening on the rear and have a huge, stairs and landing. So has that interior changes been looked at?
It's have been looked at. A couple challenges there is that is a load-bearing wall to the left of the doorway. So structurally, that would not be a necessarily feasible option. Along with, again, we do desire from a safety perspective to have that direct access out of the third floor as possible.
There's not actually a safety code requirement for that access, so it's really more your feeling. Is that correct?
It is not a code, not identified as a code issue. No.
I just feel like we had a case a couple months ago where we had somebody that I think kind of converted a 2-family to a 3-family, but it didn't require any exterior changes. And so that was something that, I think they came through for zoning, and I think we recommended the zoning change because there were no exterior changes. And so I'm struggling to find a way where we didn't allow that to have exterior changes to increase the unit count. And in this case, we would allow that exterior change.
Yeah.
I would not be supportive of putting a exterior stairs on. Unless there was some actual code issue where it was absolutely mandated that it would be unlivable. But this looks like to have an exterior stairs going up to a balcony. And in the past, I can't think of a single case that we've approved.
I know.
Something like that.
I mean, we're bound by these guidelines, and for us to make exceptions to what we are provided to measure our appropriateness against, there has to be a compelling reason. And I'm searching my brain and can't think of one that would allow us to vary in this case to allow the brick removal of the staircase.
And help me clarify something, which is when I look at the front of the house, I see 2 main entries, and I think on the side of your house, there's an additional entry door just around the corner that I was able to ascertain looking at some Google imagery. Is this a single family home or is it a double home?
It is currently a single family home. At some point in time, it apparently was converted into a double with the second front door. But in the current state, it is a single family home.
I struggle for then also probably the need for that second stair. However, that being said, I do know that, throughout that district in particular, there are a lot of sleeping porches or deck constructions on single story structures. And for me, the real problem is not even the proposal of adding either a door and then a deck. It's adding a door, a deck, then a stair, and you're kind of like just straddling it over what is a really already challenging non-historic little addition component. And for me, if we're going to allow you to do something that further modernizes or changes the way you live in the home, I think for me, there has to be something of a compelling case of why you want to just straddle an already sort of compromising looking non-historic piece on the first floor. And if it was coming out to be a design that made that piece better and got you something, maybe there's a better solution. I think it's just too much like, we've got this dog, if you will, a dog shed, if you will, tacked on the back. Like, I mean, these images you show, for example, let's look at the Linwood Avenue and Newton Street one. That's a deck on top of a first floor looking historic actual structure. And that's not the look you're getting by what you've proposed. You've proposed leaving sort of a challenge piece, and then you're just kind of flanking over the top of it with a lot of lumber. And I think there's a difference in the design quality here that if talking about the addition language of these buildings, that if you would have done this back then, you would have gotten more like what was on the Linwood Avenue and Newton Street looking item, where it would have been a historic kind of piece that looked appropriate, looked like it belonged, and then sort of a deck piece and a door that would have came out onto it. So I think for me to get me across the finish line, I think you really need to just revisit the entire approach and how it engages with this little existing doghouse piece that kind of is on the back of the house. The other thing I was going to ask is if, I do know that some of your back windows were infilled. Also, I looked at some imagery of from the back of the alley looking towards the front of your house. It looks like you have an infill window in on the left. I know on the side of the home, I think you had an infill window already that's been done, where you can tell some windows were kind of jogged around or moved around, probably even before it was a historic district. Instead of cutting a brand new window opening completely, if there's a usability issue, and again, to make a compromise to change the way we live in a historic structure, is it rather than making a wholesale new opening, could you take a window that has a header and make it into a door? There's two windows, one on the left, one to the right of the existing opening you're proposing. Would either of those work in an architectural solution that's correct? So that you're not necessarily, I hate when we have to lose or drop a sill to make a door, but if there's a case to be made, that's a better to swallow case with, storing the sill on site and saving some brick in that configuration maybe on site, and then just increasing the opening is a better argument than just wholesale cutting maybe a new opening. But I guess what I would love to see is rethinking the outside, and then also tell us the story of what's happening on the inside. And you might need to show us in plan a little bit, just what's happening at the rear of the house. Not because we can control what's happening on the interior remodeling, but to help make your story about why you're changing the livability and the pattern on the outside.
So that's all really good feedback. Thanks, Joe. And so on your first point about the back existing non-historical doghouse, completely agree with your assessment of that. That obviously was existing, as Connie mentioned, for a certain, I'm not sure when that was built.
What is it, by the way?
So that's actually over top of the existing back door from the first floor, along with the basement, the stairs into the basement. So there's a stairway down into the basement that sticks out past the back of the house. So without that structure, there would be open stairs into the basement.
So it would have been an old,
yes.
What's the word with the old storm?
Yes.
Like the Wizard of Oz, like trying to hide from the tornado. Gotcha.
Yes. Yes. Yep. And then there's a doorway, up at the level of the first floor that goes into the house. So there's a set of stairs that go up to that first floor level, and then a set of stairs that go down into the basement.
Really, to me, I could get over the fence or over, I could be willing to think what would be appropriate is maybe proposing remodeling or reconfiguring that non-historic piece to further continue the stair up to address what you're looking to try and achieve, or coming up with some better solution there that may you know, you've got a lot of pieces you're just kind of overlaying, is rethink that maybe, because then that's a non-contributing historic element likely. That
Yeah,
by
no.
reconfiguring that may be a better alternative.
Sure.
I'm
No,
not the designer.
absolutely. Curious if just again in your opinion, would it be more appropriate to do something like that Linwood and Newton example where make that first floor structure look to be rebuild that to be look to be historical with that deck on top like that Linwood, or do some is that the direction you would recommend?
Well, you know, interesting. A lot of these districts, Old Oaks, Brighton Road, there's a lot of, I call it sleeping porch architecture. And I think, Connie, you probably even have a catalog of, like, that was an option you could add on homes. They were like kits, if you will, and you could kind of tack them on. And they were common on the back of these brick houses. And, you know, if you're going to make an alteration, addition, or a change kind of in that language, I think to be appropriate. Maybe other commissioners have a different opinion, but I think, you know, you could actually make your home just look a million times better, and it just feel like it fits more without detracting necessarily.
Just to address that a little bit too, what the commission in regards to just egress on the third floor, what the commission has approved in the past for that is not creating a new door, but it's actually vinyl, but we used it as a test case once, and it seemed to work well on a side or rear elevation. Is a window that acts both as a single hung and as a casement, so that provides egress, but it's not increasing the size of the window opening. So as far as adding like a sleeping porch element on the rear, in my mind, the second floor could not be open. It would have to be enclosed if you're going to change a window opening to a door, so that doesn't show. That's my view on that.
Oh, and Connie, what about the conditions where there are occasionally these one-story add-ons on brick buildings or on some other, where they do have a deck truly on the second floor? I mean, he did actually have one in his photo set there.
Yeah, that just doesn't address changing a window to a door opening.
Got it.
And that's just my issue there. I mean, and not creating a new door opening. Maybe changing a window door opening would be less of a problem than creating a whole new opening, but that doesn't line up with the existing structure there. So
I know that door opening is what gives me heartburn. Just thinking about the cases we've had the last, couple months around folks wanting to have access to second floor decking that we've denied. It's a tricky one.
We've thought a lot about
Yeah.
trying to figure out a solution, and yeah, it's a hard one. So
It's a beautiful house, though.
it's getting there.
Yeah.
I love a brick. We always wanted a brick house. We didn't end up with a brick one, but we did end up in a house that used to be a duplex and is now a single family.
We always thought ours was a duplex starting off, but Connie's report showed that it wasn't. So
Yeah,
I thought it was originally a duplex.
Yeah, ours was a single family that created a duplex, then became a single family again. And
Yep.
I did get a nasty gram from Columbia Gas about cutting off a line to 92.5. And then I said, well, that hasn't existed in like 50 years. And she looked it up and she's like, oh, we did. We cut that line in the 60s. Good. Okay. Guess we're good to go. Yeah. The joys of old home ownership.
any other comments?
So just to clarify, and so would the commission recommend that we work on a revised plan that is more like Joe's, in reaction to Joe's, as far as like a sleepy porch type structure, to completely remove that non-historical addition on the back? We're absolutely open to that. just curious if the commission feels like that would be an appropriate step to take.
Lewis, could you bring up the rear of the building again, please? So in my mind, if the structure that's there is extended to the right and the access is through that window instead of making a door, I feel less of an issue with that than creating a new.
That would also cover, I mean,
It
moving the
would
structure.
cover, yeah, so it's kind of neither way is definitely the best solution, but
Well, it's also that dialogue though of, it doesn't necessarily mean that the window on the first floor actually is removed either. I've seen when these sleeping porches were added to some historic buildings in the Brighton Road area, for example, where those windows actually stayed on the inside, depending
yeah,
on what that outside was. And sometimes on the first floor, it was like an extension of a kitchen or whatever. And those windows, including the stone header, were just kind of walled in and left in the wall and just, drywalled right over, and you could actually peel away the whole thing and have the original everything right back again. So it comes down to the approach, I think, of what might be thought about or proposed.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think we're open to any of these approaches. So just just want to make sure that coming out of this, we're moving in a direction that the commission would consider appropriate. So if we were to, rebuild that structure and potentially, access via one of the existing window openings, but in the same, at the same time, potentially covering one of those existing first floor windows, would that be, I guess, would that be considered acceptable?
I would not have a problem with it based on you needing to present a scenario of the whole story here.
Sure,
but
sure, absolutely.
I'm just one person in this process, but I think that we just need to know that. Tell us the rest of the story here.
Yeah, I think that's, it's hard for us to say yes, 100%, you would have our support until we see something that can genuinely react. I think the door opening, cutting in the brick is where my primary heartburn is. And so if there's a solution that is a little bit more respectful of that, I think it would be, this is a very creative commission, so I think we're a little open to some alternatives, but we have to stick by our guidelines. So we also have to be mindful of that. It's not our decision of what we like or don't like. We have to look at the guidelines and decide what's appropriate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's, when I am asking the question, I really am asking, would that be more aligned with the guidelines? Moving in that direction, would that be more aligned with the guidelines? Simply, because you're obviously more familiar with the guidelines than we are.
And you can always send, just sort of preliminary sketches to me and I can respond to that too.
Yeah, as I recall, Connie, one of the cases we had was 1797 Brighton, I think, had a second floor sort of porch over one of these scenarios. Maybe I think there might have been a few in that block that we dealt with that had sleeping porch and even some deck over first floor kinds of things that I think if there's some betterment on the first floor, it's going to help justify some of the other decisions they're proposing, but I would challenge the applicant to think about where or why the need for that, just the new doorway being cut in, so.
Okay, guys.
Okay.
Thank you for
Any
coming in
other
tonight.
questions? Thank you for the feedback. That's exactly what we were looking for. We appreciate it.
All right, have a great evening.
Thank you.
Okay, we need a little bit more business on 699 Oakwood. I don't think we had any of the applicants come in, so we could probably entertain a motion to continue.
So moved.
Second.
All those, please say aye. Aaron?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
And I am yes as well. I don't believe Clyde is with us anymore.
No, he left.
So we'll continue that to the next meeting on the 21st. Okay. I don't know. Do we have any old business, any new business? Do we want to?
I think last month there were nominations for Joseph Mccabe as the new chairperson, and Stewart Gibboney nominated and accepted the nomination for the vice chair. And so I think we need to do a vote on that. It's kind of hard.
Can we move amongst on something that impacts ourselves?
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I make a single motion, Connie, or does it need to be two separate motions?
You could do a single motion, and I think you might as well do it now because Aaron, has an announcement to make, I think, and also, well, actually,
I think we might know what that is.
And Jackie, she should be here next month, but they had a family death actually, so so it may be possible that her last month she may or may not be here. So you're not going to have more people next month, so you might as well go ahead and vote, even if you're voting for yourselves.
Well, I will make a motion to appoint Joe Mccabe as chairperson of the HRC and Stewart Gibboney as the vice chair of the HRC.
Second.
Actually, I don't know if there's anyone you can second it. Go ahead and second it.
You're gonna have to.
Okay. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aaron?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
And myself, yes, as well.
Okay, so that will take effect next month.
If there's no new business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Well, I think we do have one more new business item, I think, with Aaron.
Yes.
Well, yes, this will be my last meeting because I'll be joining Lewis and Connie over at the City of Columbus, and I can't do both. So my first day with the city will be June 14th. I'd love to tell you I was super clever and I'm starting at the City of Columbus on 614, and I did that intentionally, but it was not as intentional as I'd like it to be. But I will not be able to attend the June 17th. So thank you guys. It's been good, and I'm sure popping up around town, so I won't go far.
Don't worry, we'll run into each other.
You remember when you joined the commission? Was it the same time as?
It was around the time that Joe did. Randy was still. We were still at Beacon Building.
Okay, it's been 5 or 6 years, something like that.
Time flies.
It does fly. Well, interesting. Yeah.
So I do have a question sort of on that note, Connie, which is, we're short members and commissioners.
Right.
What is, we're sort of going to run out of people to have enough to have a quorum.
I know you may want to discuss that with my supervisor, James Goodman, or the the planning administrator, Mark DeVillis, to see where that is. And as the new chairperson.
Yeah, and I did talk.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you have any knowledge of where they stand on this,
I
am more than happy to push this along.
I do not have.
And I talked to Mark, Joe, I talked to Mark briefly when the announcements was made on the hire. obviously he knew what that meant in terms of HRC, and he's interested in names and anybody that we can think of to backfill these spots. You know, he's certainly looking to increase the diversity on the
Yes.
commission and looking for those opportunities as well. So I've got a couple people that I think I could convince to do to serve a
Who
role.
would
but-
who would be overjoyed to do it? Not that you
Yes,
can
100%. I'm very enthusiastic to serve. So yeah, no, I've got a couple people that I think would be good, and I think would be good contributors. You know, most of my cohorts are planners, so sorry guys, but I'm gonna bring you more planners, less architects. But
Well, we
All
like,
right.
we like to have a variety of backgrounds, you know.
Yeah.
it really helps.
Somebody once said architects work out the details, but planners tell you where to stick it. So
yeah, or the old George Costanza, where like, why would I want to design a building when I can plan a whole city? We hold on to that one. Yeah, I know. I think Mark's open
Good
to
luck,
having
Aaron.
names if folks have things. Thank you, Stewart.
These things
It'll be
take a
fun.
long time, though. I mean, downtown commission has been trying to fill a couple spots for some time, so it
Well,
has to be approved by the
HRC
mayor and everything. So
HRC's been down 2 people for a few
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
we've been down one person for I think 2 years, and now we're down 3. So
Yeah. Mhm. All right. Well, I'll send Mark names of the folks that I've thought of so far. And yeah, I'll see you guys.
Yeah, so Aaron, we're glad to gain you and sorry to lose you.
I'll be co-workers with you and Lewis very soon.
Very good.
Aaron, we
All
know
right,
where to
guys.
find you.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I've never been so popular. That development community is fast on the LinkedIn. They were on it.
Oh.
I was like, oh, that was quick. So yeah, I will have got a lot of offers for lunches, coffees. Very popular. So,
Good.
but it'll be good. It'll be fun. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Great.
It'll be closer downtown. We can get lunch.
Oh yeah, that's true because I'll be in the Coleman building. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be there. Count me in.
Good. Beautiful.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
Ready to adjourn?
Yes.
So moved.
All in
Second.
favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. All righty.
Bye,
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Good
Thanks,
meeting.
Lewis.
yeah, have a good one.